Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the October 5th, 2020 meeting of the Board of Directors of the Michigan City Port Authority. First order of business, minutes. Any corrections or approval of the minutes? If anybody has a motion, we'd accept that.
Make a motion we accept the minutes.
We have a motion to accept.
I second.
We got a second. Thank you, Socrates. Any questions concerning the minutes? Hearing none, move forward. All those in favor of accepting as written, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Comments from the public. We don't have any extra people from the public here yet today. We'll move on. Mr. Frame, report from the Harbor Master.
All right, I just have a couple of things for tonight. As you can see, the water today is down about 18 inches from where it was in July. I think that's just a little anomaly with the way the wind's blowing, but either way, it's a good thing. As of Friday, officially the water's down 7.5 inches from what it was in July, and the Corps is predicting it to go down another 3 inches over the next month. This Wednesday, we have a meeting with Larson Danielson, a pre-construction meeting to go over how they want to proceed with the 4-5-600 dock project. So Colin from Edgewater will be here, and Larson Danielson will sort that out. And then we also thought I'd bring up a suggestion that was made that y'all can think about. I don't think we have to make any decision right away. But since we're still having the coronavirus thing and now we've had to move inside, give some thought to maybe do we want to just do one meeting a month as opposed to twice a month. Run that around in your head, and maybe over the winter, as long as we're going to keep doing this coronavirus thing, we take a look at that. So other than that, unless anybody has any questions, I'll answer any questions.
I'll talk about the meeting thing if unless anybody else has any questions for Tim. This idea just came up like 10 minutes ago. Mary Ann kind of brought it up, and while I'm not suggesting we approve or talk about it tonight, it is something to think about. I looked up in our procedural rules for the Board of Directors, and it doesn't state that we have to always have 2 meetings a month. Winter months can get kind of shy on material to talk about, so let's just think about that. Maybe like January and February and maybe March, we think about maybe one. Things can get a little busier in November and December, I think, but let's just think about it. I'm not suggesting one way or another, but I think we're pretty comfortable with this setup, but I'm not sure. So if we're not comfortable with this, let it be known to Harbor Master and myself, and we'll try to work around that. But that's all I had for. Anybody else have anything for Tim? I mean, I'm looking for comments if you want to say something about the meeting, but I'd almost rather we just think about it for a while. Danny?
Just for a comment, usually when something does come up, something important, Mrs. Pilecki is real good about sending an email to board members.
Sure. Or we can like call meetings too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a week in advance, and just to get a quorum if something really happens. We have, I guess, a follow-up to that. We have found this year that we can pay our bills even without having an official meeting, just because of the virus atmosphere. So we got approval to do that in the spring. I know we talked about that back in March and April a little bit.
Then you would just sign the registers at the next meeting for vote.
Right. Okay, something to think about. Moving on, Ms. Pilecki, a report from the Assistant Harbor Master for Administration.
For the 2020 winter storage, here's what we are right now, but we're still taking appointments. And then 2019 is the year, is the sheet behind it. So we're up a little bit over last year, but we're not done yet. We still have a whole month to go yet. So we're doing quite well in the winter storage. And the next one is the occupancy.
And that's, excuse me, that's, last year's on the second page, right?
Right,
Okay, thank you.
and this is, here's the same thing on our statistics and that. Like these three slips, we run it as overnight monthlies that we have open yet. And now we'll be going, this will be the last report that we have until that we go on to the next year. So we'll be sending out the bills out soon and wrapping up and going on to 2021. And you can see the difference that of what we've taken in this year compared to last year. That the second sheet is last year's on.
We don't really advertise for outside or for winter storage. People, I mean, we're not taking, we would not want to take business from local contractors. I mean, if people
Right,
come
we
to us
do
to
not
do this.
advertise it because it does not turn out well for us for local businesses.
Okay. You know, I've got 3 new board members. I just kind of want to bring things like that up just in case you have questions or so. And I also, just as long as I'm kicking that around a little bit, on the other sheet, the occupancy revenue. I know you've seen a couple of these, everybody, but, you know, we lost, potential lost revenue was only $15,000 for the year. I mean, we're talking about substantial compared to, if you flip the page, you see the Washington Bark rate loss was like 132,000, and plus the other marinas, 150,000 total. I mean, this is quite remarkable under this situation. So anyway, if you have any trouble reading those, just don't hesitate to let Tim or Mary Ann know. Anybody have a question for Mrs. Pilecki? Is that all you have?
That's it.
Moving on. Mr. Gray, budget financial oversight?
Well, you can see on the bills that the M&B electric for $6,500, those are emergency lights that got put into the bathrooms. There was no emergency lights in those for the bathroom facilities.
Good.
So that's where that came from. Correction there. And pretty much, there's not much there. Because we covered so much last week.
How about that stuff on the bottom, the EFT payments? I don't remember seeing much of that, Mary Ann.
That's electronic transfers, that's just started this year.
Okay.
It's like Pitney Bowes is for postage, and the merchant credit services is for our 2 credit card accounts. One's for like in the office, and the other one is the fuel dot.
Okay. That's kind of like, EFT, electronic financial transaction, something like that.
Right.
Okay. That's fine.
No, this would be.
And that is new this year, how they're doing it.
Petro van system. That's one, if we do.
Anything else? Mr. Gray?
Thing,
All right,
that's the
this
difference.
way we should pay our bills. We have a motion to pay the bills?
Make a motion, we pay the bills?
Second.
A motion and a second to pay. Any other questions? All those in favor of paying the bills as stated, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Gray?
No.
Okay, moving on. Mr. Haynes, claims and insurance?
I did not contact general insurance for a new update yet.
Yeah.
I just plan on doing that.
Okay. Anything for John? From anyone? Moving on, myself, port operations. It's only been a week since our last meeting, and the only thing I could think of is just any follow-up to the project that we approved last week, the major project. I believe all the details have been signed and approved, the various paperwork, and so I believe we're all ready to go on that, and that's been, of course, the major thing. Yes, Socrates?
Just because we didn't have a figure for NIPSCO, did we get a figure for NIPSCO?
Not yet.
NIPSCO, the NIPSCO bill? Okay, I was just wondering.
Okay. That's the only thing I can pick up. Anyone else? Moving on, Mr. Messina, Photo Communications, Special Events.
I don't really have anything. I did come down this weekend and with the cool weather and windy, wasn't really much going on, so I didn't spend much time either. So I have nothing.
Okay. Understand the fishing's pretty good still? Shad was talking about that.
The what?
The fishing,
Uh,
other than the rough water?
the weekend, of course, was not good. The prior week was as good as it could get. And, we've heard the past.
All right. Anything for Danny? Moving on, Mr. Manner's not here for master planning and special projects, park liaison. I am at a loss in front to know who's the secondary committee person there. I do not know of anything that needs to be touched base on. So hearing nothing, we'll move on. Mrs. Buettner, excuse me, Ms. Buettner, advertising public relations.
Nothing need to report.
All right. Mr. Zach Newton.
Yes, this past week, I reviewed the Larson Danielson bid to see if it conformed to the bid requirements, and it did in fact conform. Then I reviewed the proposed contract between the Port Authority and Larson Danielson, that passed legal review as well. I believe Colin is going to be forwarding that along to Larson Danielson. And then if they have any issues, we'll work through those issues. I don't think there will be. I think this is substantially similar to the contract we entered into with them for the prior, was it the 700 dock?
200.
For the 200 dock.
Yeah.
So I don't expect there will be many changes, if any at all, on their end.
Okay.
So we're looking forward to getting that contract signed.
Super. Anything else?
That's it?
Did you ever book tickets to go to Hawaii for that one boater that was in arrears for a couple $1,000s a couple years ago?
I did not.
I thought you were gonna work to get over there and see if you could find him.
I'd be happy to, but flying these days is so difficult.
All right, anybody have anything for Mr. Zach Newton? All right, any new business to come before the board? Any new business? Mr. Messina?
And just a question for Mr. Frame, this pre-construction meeting, is that open to the public or any board member?
Well, I don't know that I'd say it's open to the public, but if a board member wants to come, I'm sure that'd be fine. And I don't know for sure if we're gonna be in here mainly or out walking around or a combination of that. But if you're interested, I don't see a problem with it. It'll be Wednesday at 9 o'clock.
Anything particularly you're looking towards, Dan? I'd be curious, I'd be just curious.
No, just to hear what they have to say. Some of the subcontractors they're gonna have.
Well, a question you had last time on the electric subcontractor is KB Electric.
KB. Okay. Yeah, so nothing real major, no.
Okay, any other new business? Any old business to be concluded by the board? Any old business? Dan, John?
Yeah, a while back there was a problem with the internet, Tim. Did that all get straightened out? And
We improved it, but I don't believe we solved it for everybody. So the one problem we had was the fiber line going to the 700 antenna got broken last year. But the 700 antenna last year appeared to work almost as well as the 400 dock antenna. This year, I don't know if because of a firmware update or what, but the 700 dock antenna was not doing anything basically. So we ran a new fiber wire to it, and that substantially improved the 700 dock. We still get a few people that struggle with the internet, and the IT department and I laid out on an aerial where our antennas currently are and what we believe the coverage is. So there are gaps. So we're going to rearrange our antennas. Right now, we're mainly on the perimeter, pointed in. But over the winter, we're going to move all those off the perimeter out onto the docks. And that'll give us more overlapping coverage and hopefully get rid of the holes. So our plan is to have that functional by next year, you know, to rearrange them. So yeah, we did improve it, but it didn't solve it for everybody. The hard thing with the internet is you're also at the mercy of what each individual has for equipment. And that's not something we can control. And we did find a couple issues where they didn't delete out last year's, you know, when you tell it to search for a Wi-Fi network, and they were having trouble until they deleted that out and let it reacquire it, and then that fixed the problem. So some of it is just a combination of minor errors, you know. The other problem we found this year, these antennas that we put up this spring are higher power output, and so they can reach further out, but then you may not be able to reach back to the antenna. So you can see that there's Wi-Fi there, but your device can't reach back. So that's why we're going to move them all out onto the docks and overlap them real good, and then you won't have as far a distance to any tower. So hopefully those changes will improve it. I don't think we're ever going to get it perfect. There's a lot of interference out here, both between sailboat masts. You got a big aluminum pole sticking up everywhere and signal bounces off of that. And then you also have people running their own little range extenders or amplifiers or hotspots. And a lot of that runs on the same or similar frequencies, and it creates some interference. So
Well, right now, you've got about 4, maybe 5 cones of transmitting, then
we have
something like
8.
that, but then you'd map that out for me.
We have
Then
8.
you're gonna go to like 9?
We have 8, and we're going to 12.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah. So we're going to add 4 more and then redistribute them, and that'll give us real thorough coverage. Next meeting, I'll have a couple aerials for you that shows you how it is now and how we plan to do it. And that should make it a little more clear,
Okay.
hopefully.
John, a little bit in the background, Tim's talked to me and he showed me what they're planning on doing, and they're trying to work on getting the parts or something now, so we're hoping to have it done he's hoping to have it done by the spring.
Well, we have the radios now. I'm going to have to coordinate with the IT department and run some more fiber, and then rearrange some switches here and there to get them all hot, but then we should be good.
Is that a good update for you?
Yep, sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.
Any other old business to come before the board? But there's still no guests, so I'm looking for a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to accept adjourn and a second from Chad. Next meeting is scheduled 2 weeks from today, I believe, on October 19th. We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.